Alright, as you can see in the demo, we're going to make a fully functional quiz website using JavaScript and Bootstrap. As you can see, I've already created the code and I will explain it to you one by one. Okay? So first, you need to get the link from the Bootstrap website. So this is their website. Then you can just copy the link here, the bottom, then include via CDN. So in the section container, we have an ID of the container, so that we can get it later from the JavaScript. Then inside the header, we have a title and instruction. And then the second section is we have the input name, which the user can input their name. We need the ID. We need to put an ID. Then the second section is the select, where the user can select subjects: English, Science, Filipino, or Math. We also need to assign the value so that we can get it later, and add the ID of subject so that we can get it from the JavaScript. Same goes by the grade. We need the value and the ID. Then after that, we need the next button, so that if the user click the next button, it will go to the scope page that will display the scope of the chosen subject and grade. So this is the body. So this is the body of the scope. You can see we have the title also. Then a small information. As you can see, we also have the ID of the section, so we can get it later in the JavaScript. We need to put an ID in the section so that we can hide or display this section. And we also has the button from the scope container so that we can start the quiz, and a back button. Then after that, we have the quiz body container, which has the questions and options, and the information will be displayed at the top. So the challenger, this is where the challenge username goes, and selected subject of the user and grade, and the timer is always to be 900 seconds or 15 minutes. Then after that, Then we have a container for our questions or the buttons. So we have the explanation container so that we can display the explanation if the user chooses the wrong answer. Then after the user click some of the buttons or the answer buttons, the next question button will show for the next question. Then after the quiz, we will display the result, the score, the play again button, and the feedback if it's the user passed or failed. Then after that, we're going to include the our logic, JavaScript logic, which is this one. This is where all the logic comes from on this file. Then we also need to include the data. This data folder has all the questions and scopes. So in the question file, we have an object that contains an array objects. As you can see, we have the English for English questions, science questions. Inside of the subject, we have the grades, the 7, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, and so on. Then inside of the grade, we have an object of question. So this is the questions and the options, which has also the correct answer. It's the correct answer and the explanation. Alright, then we go to scope, same as the question. We also have an object that has an object subject, and instead of the object subject, we have the grades object that composed of some parts of the scope, scope description, details, overall scopes from grade 7 to 8 also, and for different subjects. Okay, alright. Then we go to the logic. First, we need to get the input where the user can put their names. Then the display. Then we need to get also the display, which is this one. This one. So we can display the value here at the paragraph with a strong element. And also for here, explanation display. Then we need the container, visibility container, the scope container, the header container, and the question options container. We need those containers in order for us to display or do not display the container. Then the buttons. We need to get the answer button, which will create later, and start game button, and then the next question button. Then the two selected were created before the subjects and the grades. So this is the select for the grade, then this is select for the subject. Then we need so we use let here because these variables don't have a stable value. It can be changed. Chosen subject, chosen grade. In this score, we have the initial value of 0. The current question index is one who handles the questions. So we set it to 0 for the first question. Data timer set to 900 seconds for 15 minutes. Then the quiz start is stated as false. Then after that, we need to create the function getScope. Here we get the inputs value, and we use trim function to trim some white spaces. Then on this code, we check if this value is not empty, then display information on the display variables. Else, if it's empty, then we're going to return an alert. Then after that, we need to display the quiz scope container and hide the initial container. Then after that, we're going to create the scopes. Scope description. So we need to go to the scopes, which is this one, scopes, that included here at the bottom of the index HTML. Then we go to chosen subjects. Chosen subjects, which is the user selected subjects, which is English, Filipino. Then chosen grades. Okay, chosen subjects, chosen grades, and if the scope of that chosen subjects are grade. Then after that, we're going to create a variable that has the detail. We use map to map all the detail, to map all the scope. Then we're now creating the scopes, HTML, scope description, written, which this one, and the overall scope. Then we're going to display it. So here what this looks like. So this is the input. We're going to put name here, for example John. Then we're going to choose a subject with 7. So this is the scope that we created earlier. So let's try science 7. And then English grade 8. Okay. Alright, then after that we're going to start the game. So we need the start game button and add the event listener as click. Then we need to create a function to reset the variable every time it starts in the game. So we need to start the initial value to 0 again, the current index is 0, and the question option is to blank. Then we need to display none the scope. Then we need to display the header and the body container. Then we need to shuffle the questions using this function. This function is in here. This is the function for this one, to randomize the questions. After that, we save the questions to global variable using window that shuffle question to access the shuffle questions. Yeah. Then the countdown timer is equals to the interval to countdown timer 600. Then create a question. So let's try. So John subject. So this is the quiz body container that has the options. Okay, so now after creating the start game event listener, we have to create this function, create functions, which is this one. So we access the shuffled questions. So we check if the shuffled questions is greater than 0 and the current index is less than the shuffled questions like. So if it's true, the current questions we need to create a variable current questions that has the value of the shuffled questions that has the value of shuffled questions with the index of the value of the current index 0. Then after that, we're going to create a div element, and we put it a class of quiz question container. Then we display the question. We created again an h3 element, add a class, then add the value of that h3 element to the current question index. Then the value of the question element will be the current question that we created above. Then we use the current questions index value plus 1, so we have to start at 1. So we have a numbering in our questions. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is the current question index plus 1. Then after that, the questions. Okay, first we need to display the questions. We need to create an element h3. So the value of this h3 will be the variable that we created before the current questions with the current index. Then we use the current questions index value plus 1 so that it will start to 1, so that we have a numbering in our question. Then we will going to append the question element to the div that we created before. Then we're going to append that div to the container that we get from the HTML. Then after that, we're going to create the buttons. First, we need to, of course, create a div container for our buttons. Then after that, we need to add a class list or a class to the div that we created. Then created a letters array for the buttons. Then we created a loop. It iterates according to the length options of the current questions. Then we create a variable options to the current question options, the iterate options. Then we create an element button. Then we set the attribute that button as an ID and name it answer button. Then we also add a class to that button. This is just a design. Then the value of that element or the button is the letters first, the one we created an array. Then after that, the option that text, this one. Then after that, we need to create an event listener for the option element. It's a click event. So if the buttons were clicked, this function will run. So this is the function that handles the option click. Now we pass in the some parameters, current questions, and the event. First, we need to get the answer buttons. We need to use a query selector all to get all the buttons that has the class name of answer button. then it checks if the buttons contains the answer button value was clicked. Well, if it's yes, then we iterate that answer button. For each button, a button that is disabled true, then if button is equals to the event target, which is the event target of this, then we get the selected option text of that target and the selected option of the current questions. That look if it's the same option text of the selected option text above. Well, if it's true, Then we go here. If it checks if it has the own property is correct, or if the buttons is correct. Uh, this is the correct naming object. This is what we need to look if it's this present on that certain object, then the answer is true. And then we increment the score, then change the the target button plus it is to success. Then else it's strong. Then if it's strong, we're going to display black the explanation container. Then change the we also add a class to text danger so that the color will be red. Then the value of the explanation display will be the correct answer explanation functions, or then the explanation display will display the correct answer and why. Then it will change the bottom color to red danger. Then else if the button is wrong, it will find the correct the correct options that has the is correct property and will change the order to success. Then the other ones will be disabled. Then after that, we need to create the next question button. So first we need to create the element, then set an ID, which is name as next questions and a class. Then after that, we need to get the container, the next question container. Uh, then we need to append the button to that container. Then after that, we have to add an add event listener, which is click. Quiz container options, we set to null. Then the current index will be increment so that we will go to the next question. Then we will remove the value of the explanation display and the container will display none. Then create another questions using the new incremented index. Then after that, we're going to remove the next button. So let me show you transition. To choose a subject, so the scope. So if we click the wrong answer, if we click the wrong button, it will show the correct answer and display the explanation container. Then if you click next, remove the next button and reset all the value, and it will increment the current question index into 1 so that we move to the next questions. This is the function where we can get the correct answer explanation. We need to pass the parameters of current question. Then we have the function for the countdown timer. Yeah, this checks if the current question index is equal to the questions, show questions line. And if it's true, so this means that if the question is 15, then the index is equal to 15, then we need to do something. So first we need to clear the intervals since the questions reaches limit. Then we need to reset all of the container, hide the body header and explanation container to be null. Then we need to get the result. Then If the timer runs out is equal to 0, same as the above, we need to clear the interval, then same as the top, then we need to get the result. Then the result, first we need to get the element score, result container, then the feedback from the HTML. Then we need to display the result container, and the result display value will be the score value. So if the score is greater than or equals to 10, so we're going to say you pass. So if it's not, you failed. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for watching my videos. Hope to see you again. Thank you.